I can't go live on Instagram. This
Oh, you
don't.
you don't have multiple devices. Okay.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, no, because it's gonna be too much feedback.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everybody. People are joining. Welcome, Periscope. We didn't get no feedback that you got on, Lola. We had no feedback. None.
I don't know why we get. Let me turn my mics down.
Welcome, everybody. Come in and join. Come in and join. Come in and join.
Is that better?
Hello? Yeah.
Okay. I need to turn my mic down.
Welcome, everybody, as you're coming in on Facebook. And hello, Kiki Keys. Who's out there? Y'all comment. Hello, everybody. This is our Saturday night. What is it called, Lola?
He said, she said.
Right, because I get it wrong. Hello, yeah. Hello. Oh, look at all y'all. Periscope, YouTube. Hello, Aura 010566470. All right, we're gonna get started in just a minute. Myself and Lola Georgia, glad to have you all tonight. Hello, Tamar. Hello, Tiffany Michelle on Facebook. Those of you that are on Lola and Pasadena and Pastor Chavis, if y'all could share it on y'all Facebook.
I just shared it.
All right. Come on in, y'all. Come on in. Come on in the room. We're going to talk about relationship tonight. And we're going to talk about divorce and amongst other things. Conversation just goes all over the place.
True.
So if y'all have questions, start giving us your questions at this time. If you got questions. Oh, we're looking good. Talk about. Hello, everybody. Hello. Share the broadcast if you would. Share the broadcast if you would. We'll get started in just a minute. Lorna, how was your day?
I just got finished doing 6 miles. I know it appeared.
So you done it and posted it big time.
I know it appeared that I wasn't doing nothing today, but I said Saturday is the only day I get to sleep in and rest. But I've been doing at least 5 miles every day, so I couldn't let today go by and not get my workout in.
I ain't mad at you.
I'm serious about this health and wellness. I will not let my sister Corona take me out because I'm fat. Not on this sabbatical. No, Lord, she will not get a hold of me. When they release us, guess who's going to be ready?
You going to be ready?
I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be yet ready.
Pastor Dana, how was your day?
It was restful and busy. This is, I think, my 4th Zoom today.
Oh, you've been Zooming.
She booked it busy, honey.
I had 11, a 4, a 7, and now this one.
All right. Sean Jones is on.
I saw.
He talking about Lola grinding.
She is.
Let me start a watch party.
Why I don't see you? What page are you on?
Bishop Greg Davis, my fan page, the like page. Just Bishop Greg Davis.
See, that would be the problem. Let me become a fan.
You probably don't even follow that page.
I know not of it. This is the first. There you go.
Let me start a watch party.
We need to get a commercial because this right here, simply watermelon, all natural.
Well, you just promoted them.
I'm speaking it into existence. They're gonna send us money.
It's
I don't
good.
know when, but they're gonna definitely send it because I'm sure giving them a lot of mine.
Okay, let's get started in here. Okay, Pastor Chavis, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, doing very well. How about you?
So Corey Chavis is here. We did a wonderful live this week about divorce, so I thought I would invite him. And so for those of you that are on and you say, well, I don't need to hear about divorce. Oh, yes, you do. Yeah, you need to hear about divorce because that's what causes you not to get divorced when you listen to other folk to avoid our pitfalls. And so if y'all have questions, please send us your questions and we'll put them up. Let me show you since Sean want to talk. This is how we do it. That's how your questions get up. Sean said, Lola out here grinding. So that's how we put you up. When a man tries to make everything your fault, what about it?
Everybody come up with excuses. The question is, everybody has to take time to do a self-reflection to identify their own flaws. And some people don't like to hear the truth. You know what? I did something interesting. So, I'm out of an old relationship. And historically, I haven't had a bad reputation where we fall out. If it don't work, it don't work, and you just keep it moving. Nothing for people to get upset about. I've been able to part amicably. But I had a conversation with my ex, and, I always try to ask, was there something that I could have done differently that could have changed the outcome of what happened? I want to hear what my flaws and what my imperfections are, because if you only see yourself from your own perspective and from your own lenses, that's a good thing, but sometimes you need to hear what other people think of you, because there's truth in that. And in that insight, I think it's important that you identify your flaws, because you have to work on those things, because if you don't take time to identify what they are, if you don't work on them, you'll take those same flaws into a new situation and run into the same mistakes. And so sometimes when we say, well, he said this and he said this about me and he said that about me, some of it just may be true. And some of it we may need to work on and to make ourselves a better individual. And a lot of times people don't want to hear the truth.
I want to say to the lady, the Linda Middlebrooks, sometime, whether it's a man or a woman, and thank you for commenting from YouTube, it is our fault. Some of the stuff that I've been in, it was my fault. Even if the only thing I did was to allow it to happen, it was my fault and didn't bring in balance. So Lola, that's big of you to even ask. That's you want to know, and good thing that you can go back and ask that it's amicable, that you can go back. When you start getting a certain age, you start knowing what your faults is, and pity the fool that repeats the cycle of the same faults.
Everybody should strive. I think that I'm at a point where I have no time to waste, right? And so since I don't have time to waste, people think just because you get in a relationship with somebody and it doesn't work, then it's the end of the world. No, people come into your life for seasons and reasons, and you have to identify what that season was at that particular point in time. And what could you grow from? Because everything should be a learning experience. And if you're not willing to grow, anything that's not growing is dead. So you have to be able to take even the bad situations and grow from it, because there's something in a bad situation that can still make you a better individual. And I think perspective and outlook is critical to your future.
Anybody want to jump in on this part of it?
Yeah, Bishop, I'll just say that I think very frequently it was already said, people don't really like to look at themselves in the mirror and really see what's going on with them. You know, Michael Jackson said it best, right? I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. No
Yeah.
message could be clearer. Y'all know the rest of the song. So it's really working on yourself that shows maturity. I appreciate what Lola said, that self-evaluation. Most people, they're not ready to do that, right? I mean, most people want to point the finger at the other person. And so I think male or female, frequently we hear all the stuff that the other person did. And it takes maturity to really say, you know what? Sure, they did something, but what did I do? Because if we were together as a unit, we failed as a unit. Both sides did things that we could probably work on. So what can I be doing to the next relationship that can be better? That's again my perspective.
Pastor D.
Oh, for sure. You have to look at yourself and what did you allow in that relationship, and what could you have done differently? And so as I've moved forward from divorce and been in relationships or was collecting data, I I decided what I would and would not deal with, and how I how I would treat somebody else. So I had to walk that out, and I had to be honest with myself. And Man in the Mirror is one of my favorites by Michael Jackson for the reason that Corey just gave. You just have to be very honest with yourself and look at yourself and examine you to better you, and not always focus your energy on what the other party did.
Right.
Okay. Sean said it sounds like relationship lacks trust. Go ahead, Pastor.
I mean, I'm going to say not necessarily trust. I think it's natural when something fails for someone to find fault. So people always want to say, this was the thing. And I'm gonna be honest, over a long, if you've been married, I was married over 20 years. It's not one thing. Oftentimes it's just a buildup of many things. Growth, communication, conversation. Those traditional things. I think people are always looking for those traditional. Oh, somebody cheated, somebody did. Sometimes it's just growth and lack of communication that really tear down relationships. And so somebody for, hey, they didn't communicate. It takes two to tango. It takes two. Both people probably done better if you go back and retrospectively look at the whole thing. It's easier to say what another person did than to say what you did. So again, I don't think it's a trust issue per se. I definitely think it's a maturity thing. I think as you get older, I like what Lola said again. I'm at the age now, I'm okay with saying, yes, I did wrong. I know 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I wouldn't have admitted I did wrong. And I would have, been a stubborn, person in the relationship. Now, I'm like, you know what? I did wrong. And I'm willing to reconcile or fix it or change or whatever I need to do. Because I'm not trying to be beefed out for, weeks on end, like back in the day.
Right. No time for that. Tamar Ritchie said, okay, hold on. I'll see yours, Latrice. I agree. Self-evaluation is very important for growth. It's both of our parts. True, because we both were in the relationship together. Absolutely. Tamar Ritchie had a question. She said, when a man says his sister and niece has come to town, but you don't believe him, especially with the virus around. Ha!
That ain't no question. That's a statement.
Well, it looked like she had a little question, and what she posted it because she wanted some feedback. Ma'am, that simply, to me, it says that he may not be that into you. He's just not into you. Because are you saying that his niece and sister can come around, but you haven't been able to come around? What has your quarantine life looked like? Have you been quarantined with yourself and he's been quarantined with himself? and now he has company, he's refusing to see you. That comment strikes up something different.
A lot of questions. There's a lot of questions.
There's a lot of unanswered questions. But let me say this: I had a friend, or I have a friend, who was in a relationship during this quarantine, and part of the quarantine they spent time together, and then they didn't spend time together for several reasons. And the relationship started going left, and I had said I believe it's going left because the time wasn't adding up for one of the parties. And I said it sounds like there's an exit strategy on the way because the time has been compromised. The one thing that women watch are patterns.
And y'all watching when we don't even know it.
Right.
Y'all slick.
Patterns. And
we
when
open
you
our mouth and blow it. We blow it.
Yeah. You'll break a pattern that you didn't even know you had. And we won't say anything. We're just like, uh-huh. Yeah, yesterday was 6 o'clock. Now it's 9 o'clock. Okay. And then we watch to see what that next pattern is. Okay. So now we at 7. So we didn't change from 6 to 7. Okay. All right.
There's a question.
What are the rules of being single or divorced and trying to date in this post-COVID-19 era for you?
What are the rules of being single or divorced?
I'm gonna let one of the panelists answer that one.
Corey?
Wow. Okay. What are the rules? I think that first of all, you set your own standards right off the bat. So I don't think there's no specific rules. I think the same things that you always have to have expectations when you go into any relationship. Mature people walk into a relationship with fundamental expectations, and that's post-COVID, pre-COVID. Right. You should go in looking for respect. Right. It was already mentioned patterns. What are your non-negotiables? What are the things you can put up with? We mentioned it on our chat, Bishop, on this week. There's certain things I'm just not going to put up with. I'm not going to put up with somebody who is a weed smoker. That's a non-negotiable for me, right? If you
say that smoker, again.
You a drinker and all that stuff. I'm just not. I mean, and those are. But dating doesn't change. COVID-19, not COVID-19. Yeah, we might be on Zoom or we might phone versus go to the movies physically, but the fundamental expectations are the same. And when you get mature, you should come to the table and you should know them right off the bat. Like, you should be able to say, hey, there's certain things I'm just not going to put up.
Matter of fact, they should be even more so.
Yeah.
Because now you have a chance to sit all by yourself.
Yeah.
I'm talking about you. And now you really kind of knowing what you want. Well, yeah, I would like that. No, I don't know that. It should be even more. Sounds the person go into a relationship with set deal breakers. Absolutely.
You should definitely know, like you just said, you should know what you're willing to deal with, what you're not willing to deal with. Corey said something else profound. Weed smoking? Nope. Not gonna do it. Nope. Not. There's just some things that you're not willing to deal with, and I don't think people should compromise on what they're willing to deal with and not willing to deal with because somebody may be not, or you think that you can change them. No, don't change nobody. Let them be who they are.
Absolutely. I call it what you value. We have values, and then it's what we value, right? And our values are our ethics and our integrity. But it's also what are the things you value in a person, right? So, for example, right? That might be something that a person values, but it's not a deal breaker, right? A person, hey, I'm not a pet person, but I might be able to get along with a cat or a dog if the dog ain't biting me and all that type of stuff. But it's just certain stuff I need to know, and it's going to be different for every individual. That's why I say there's not rules. But there's definitely levels of expectations, and you need to communicate them. I think, at least when I was younger, I was bad at communicating my expectations. So I would assume, oh, she should know. I mean, people, oh, they should know. They know. No, they. What happens is you live in a relationship. You expect people to read your mind and understand your expectation, and they can't read your mind. So you've got to get better at communicating. That's why good questions, Bishop talked about it again when we talk, good questions, good conversations that bring out, hey, these are my expectations. I expect you to have a job, not borrow your mama's car and you live in the basement and eat Fruit Loops all day. I have some expectations for you. I mean, those are the type of things that need to be talked about.
Corey, let me ask you this question.
Go ahead.
So we're at the age, everybody that's on this line is at the age where they've been able to acquire maybe their own vehicle, their own home, apartment, whatever that thing is. This is a general question for the general public, not just Corey. Will you date someone that still lives at home with their parents? Not the, I'm taking care of my mom so she lives with me. Not that. That's honorable. But I just haven't moved out yet. I still live at home with my mom and dad.
That would be a no for me.
No. Mm-mm.
Wow. I'm trending no, but I need to I'm a data gatherer, right? So there may be some specific things, but again, it would be hard. I mean, I'm gonna just say it would be very hard because again, Bishop saying no, absolutely not.
Not at this point in my life, no.
Amen. I guess I would say no as well. But
Corey, you on the fence.
I am again because I think that is that the only thing, right? Is that the only thing? But
that has to do with
so many things behind it.
That has to do with standards.
That's true.
I just did a post tonight, just released it just now, and I'm talking about standards. To me, standards mean that I lower my expectations. If I lower my standard, I lower my expectations. And the reason why we lower our standards, Lola, is because it takes longer to find somebody that's your high standards than it do for low standards. All of us right now can find somebody that's beneath our standards.
It could take 23 years.
It could take 23 years to find somebody that meets our standards.
Yeah.
It could take tonight, right now, to lower your standards and find somebody. The right one is the one that you keep your standards up for. But being impatient is the thing that causes us to lower our standards. That's about look. If I took somebody other than taking care of their mama or the daddy or the grandparents, and they all living in the house together because they need to do that, then I've lowered my standards at this point in life.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, Corey, to put you out there.
I'm Bishop, you're right. I mean, and it's difficult, right? Because you want to be understanding, but you're correct. Lola said it. I think it's easy to pick the low standard, right? And you have the heart to want to be hopeful for people, but it's just not a good fit, especially at the standard we're at. All of us on the call, bringing somebody in to your life that's at that level, they just don't. I mean, it's a miss right off the bat. I mean, it's just not going to work because, again, I mean, I just got certain stuff I got to do. We all got certain. I mean, Pastor Dana said it. Hey, I've been on 5 Zoom calls, right? I don't have time to be with somebody who still playing around on the video games and trying to figure out, Mama, can I come over and borrow the car and borrow $12 to get some gas? I mean, that's just not going to work in the world that we're in. So yeah, I get it. I was trying to be nice.
Because you're going to have a lot of DMs, brother, with that kind of.
Yeah.
Corey,
they're going to want you to get out of mama's house.
No DMs. No.
Lola, read that.
No, but need more data. Something may have happened, such as loss of job and saving money. It depends. So in my scenario, when I posed the question, I was saying that they've never left home. I'm not talking about they didn't fell on hard times and they didn't move back home. I'm talking about that one that just never felt the need to move out of their parents' house. And I'm staying with, because there are various reasons that we can come up with as to why we have roommates and why we live with other people. I'm not talking about that.
Right.
I'm talking about, this is where I grew up and I never left. I never had the gall of the gumption to go see what it's like to sit at the closing table. Go see what it's like to go and sit across from the person that's going to sign that lease. That's what I'm talking about. I've just always lived here. This has been comfortable for me, so this is what I want to do. So that's the
because you ultimately lining yourself up for a mama's baby, right? Where if it's a man, a mama's boy. If it's a young lady, it's a mama's girl, daddy's girl. I mean, they're not going to be able to handle certain things, right? I mean, certain business ventures, certain trips, certain moves that you make. Again, where you're at a certain level, they're not going to be able to handle that. They're not going to know what to do. Hey, I need you to. I have people coming over. I have state rep coming over. And they coming to the house. I need you. You ain't even got no house. You can't whip up. Whip up nothing. No.
They meeting at the restaurant. Someone, Tamar said, what if they rented a room with someone? For me,
it's the same thing.
I'm at this point, I'm looking for a little bit more than a room in someone's home. I'm sorry.
Help them grow.
Sean, what do you mean?
Yeah, they coming in that me. But here's what I'm gonna say, right? I'm gonna say this, that I think that, again, collecting data, I'm not gonna say yes or no. I think that the data collection, there's always reasons why people have stuff happen, right? A person could, hey, I just put a lot of money into an investment. The investment didn't turn out well, so I had to move in with somebody temporary. That stuff is explainable, but again,
that's not my scenario,
habits, right? So you ladies said we look at habits. I know that was close, but men look at habits too, right? Yeah. I mean, if you habitually don't do, you're not a performer. You're not a person who can excel at a level. You don't have to have a Benz or live in a 5-bedroom, but you do need to be exhibiting a certain level of work ethic, a certain drive. They said Lola on the grind. Absolutely. Grinders appreciate grinders. So we all grinders on here. So if I'm talking to a person and they like, yeah, I ain't do nothing today, but shit, watch reruns of The Walking Dead, and but we've been grinding, so I can't even understand what you're talking about. I need to understand.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
So this is a good. What Dr. Eve is right. Some cultures believe in staying home till marriage. Okay, but you're talking about. Okay, that's good for 20s and all that 30s. If you're dating younger, then that might be the case. But in our case,
everybody on this call is in the 40-40 club and up.
And I'm the and up. What do y'all say to that? Because we got all kind of groups on here. What do you say to that?
And you know what? I think that's a viable statement, and that is a true statement. And if I was dealing with that culture, I would probably be more understanding, because I definitely respect cultural situations. And yeah, I would have a little bit more tolerance and respect for that culture. But I know a lot of what's in my culture, they put you out at 18.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. But you are absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct, Dr. Eve.
Does Danny want to add to it?
No, because I guess it depends on the culture. For me, I don't necessarily, I've never entertained dating outside of my race. So I'm going back with Lola. It wouldn't apply to me.
Oh, interesting. Never thought about dating outside your race. Lola, we've talked about that before, but go ahead, Pastor Dana.
Can I address Shine? There will always be things the other person doesn't know how to do. Help them grow, teach them. I think that goes to your level of comfort and standard, because depending on what they don't know, I may not have the energy to teach it. I may not have the energy to help them grow in that area. So it just depends on what is it that you're lacking, that I will say I'm consenting to help you grow in that area. It just depends.
Does that have to do with the place that you are in your life, though?
I think so. Absolutely. For me, yes.
I just want to add on to that. There's teaching, there's also learning, right? So the opposite is important. I think very, very frequently we're told teach, but oftentimes you're dealing with people who don't want to learn. So the real question is a person willing and ready to learn? A big portion of talking about relationship is being a lifelong learner, because you need to, number one, learn yourself. Number two, learn the other person. And number three, learn how both evolve with time. The person who I was is not who I'm going to be. And the person who they are is also evolving. So I got to constantly be learning and learning. So this conversation around teaching, I mean, I'm with Pastor Dana. I'm working on learning, right? I'm learning. I'm working on making sure I learn. She likes this. She likes that. I like this. I like that. That's how we. Some people, they don't want to learn. I know what I know, and you ain't gonna tell me that, okay, then that's a shutdown for me. That I can't deal with that. But if you're a learner, then we can learn together. Absolutely.
I know it all, and a smart mouth. That just that's the combination.
Bishop.
Know it all, and you're always flipping off at the mouth. That just don't work for me. Yeah, right. That right there. I need everybody to share this broadcast. Share it. Invite people on your Periscope. This is good stuff. Thank you. As for me and my culture, they better not live at mom's.
Hey, Dr. Virginia Bradshaw has a good question. She says, what if 59-year-old man knows her but asks you for a ride, never offered, and made a statement saying, I quote, I'm going to ask my sister to buy me a car. Yeah, see, that's not going to work for me. That's not going to work for me, because I've been driving since 16. I remember when I turned 15, me and my good girlfriend, Amy Hauser, we went to, when I turned 15, I called my dad and I said, instead of picking me up for school, I said, I need you to pick me up from ABC. Remember ABC driving school, y'all up there on 8 Mile? I need you to pick me up from ABC and bring $99. So at 15, I got my permit, so that at 16, I was ready to start driving. So I know since I've been driving since I was 15, 16, there's no way I'm going to deal with anybody at 59 and they don't have no car and they need somebody else to buy them a car. That tells me that you haven't been a good steward over your resources. And if you can't be a good steward over your resources, you can't be a good steward in my life.
If a man can't take care of himself, he can't take care of you.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead.
Work, he's an infidel, huh? He can't take care of you.
Yeah, no, he can't even take care of a car note, which means he may not even have the FICO score to get a decent interest rate to get.
Come on now.
Yeah, no, that's gonna. We're gonna go with no. And
go ahead.
We're not even trying to be high maintenance. We're not trying to be extra. We're talking about these standards that we talked about earlier. Because if you settle for anything, you'll get just about everything, right? So you have to know what you're willing to accept.
There's a question. What about someone that earns less than you?
I don't think it's a matter of somebody making less than you. I think it's a matter of how they handle their money. Are they a good steward? Do they have a plan? Outside of how much they actually make, Are they investing? Do they have plans to invest? Do they have stocks? Do they have bonds? What are they doing? What's their plan financially for the long haul? So for me, it's not about if they make less, it's about, do they have a plan?
No, you can take your less and my more, or vice versa.
And we do that.
Me as a man, I'm not intimidated by a woman making more. Do it, baby. Go for it. Just as long as that's not something you're holding over my head. Mm-hmm. I mean, how many of you, like Janet Jackson in that Tyler Perry movie? I don't want to hear that. I mean, we both know it, but we're putting together, and I work just as hard. So it don't make me a difference. Corey, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, Bishop, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. So then you understand how to keep money. And there's a lot of people who make lots of money, 6 figures, but they spending multiple 6 figures. So what's your habits, right? I mean, if you just make a lot and spend a lot, you just broke on a higher level. So I much rather have a person that understands, again, stewardship, investing, great business traits. Some people don't make a lot, but then all of a sudden they get on that grind and hustle again. Yeah. I'm back to the work ethic. If you got work ethic, you can make some things happen. Make $1 out of 15 cents. So
$1 out of 15 cents.
That's not a big deal for me at all.
Somebody please read the next one. I can't even.
What about what?
I don't have the strength to even read it.
Huh?
I don't even have the strength to read it.
Okay. What about a 54-year-old man has no car and has never had a license and don't see the need to even get a license and learn how to drive? They still get around on the bus, Uber or Lyft. Well,
you know where he's gonna drive you? Crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Where are y'all coming up with all these stories from?
This real life here.
Huh?
The next one gonna say, what about the one that's blind? No, I'm sorry. Okay.
So with this young man at 54, he probably see, again, in life, and we need to address something, and we're not placing anyone on pedestals, or we're not saying that anybody is better than anybody. So let's be clear. If you know me, you know everybody is the same. Period. I don't look, no, we're all the same. Period. But in life, there are levels. There are levels. Some people are on the first floor, some people are on the 36th floor, some people are on the, but we all in the same building, right? So it doesn't matter what floor you're on. It doesn't matter when you get on a plane and some people are sitting in first class and other people are sitting in coach. That don't matter, because we're gonna all get to the same destination at the same time. So it doesn't really matter about financial means. It's about, there's still different levels. And you have to ask yourself, what's acceptable for you? Not to look down on anybody else because they're different. They may not have what it is you're looking for. We are never to look down on anyone, but you still have to ask yourself, are they at a level that's acceptable to you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, where are y'all meeting these 50-something-year-old men with no vehicles? You know what? Don't answer. I don't want to know. Send y'all questions, please. More questions that you might have. Okay, so let's deal with divorce. Okay.
Yes, please.
Every last one of us have been divorced at some point in time. Some more than others. Corey's just coming out of divorce. I've been divorced just around six years. Lola?
13 years this year.
Pasadena?
8 years.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Craig Mizell says millions of men with good jobs don't drive in New York. That's true. That's a different.
We're not in New York. We're talking about Michigan, Detroit.
No, because we got people from all over. Lola.
I know, but I'm saying, I think our perspective that we're giving is from this local area. But in New York, really, the way to get around is mass transit.
That's the way of life.
Yeah, that's the way of life. Subway,
people that are wealthy. That's the way of life. In most of our cities, that's not the way of life.
Right. And I remember when I used to work in New York, and I would rent cars often, working in the city, Manhattan, and I would have this car, but I would have to park. Parking structures was like $70 a day. Valet was $95. So in certain instances, it's not economical to have a vehicle.
Yeah. And even me now, to be honest with you, I live downtown Detroit. And the furthest I drive is Southfield, Michigan, to go to the Word Network. And I'm looking like I got 2 cars and I don't drive. And right now, ain't nobody driving nothing.
Ain't nobody driving. I had to take a gas for a month.
And insurance and all that. So it doesn't mean that it's a different scenario. If a person is established and they can have one, then it's a different scenario. So I get what you're saying. So Corey just now divorced, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here's my statement about divorce. Raise your hand in this group if you got married to get divorced. Nobody gets married to get divorced.
No.
So when I think of my situations, I'm going to be transparent. In all situations, it had to do with me rushing. That is Greg Davis's admittal of common thread of the reason why I think, although 20 years of my life was good, I mean, it was good. It got me to where I'm at today. We both helped each other, but I don't think anybody gets married. So let's get that out of the way to get divorced. You really think that you're going to spend, but that's all right, Adele. It don't matter whether you got married yet, because this will help you so you won't go through what you such a rush. There you go, Corey. We talked about the other night. He in such a hurry to get married. I ain't even got married yet.
We're gonna help him tonight.
We're trying to prevent you to not get married and divorce, and we want you to marry. We want you to marry for life.
Yeah.
So what messes with me is that my grandparents were married 60-something years, and I won't even have that accumulatively.
I think for me, I married my college sweetheart, one of the greatest men alive. I still keep him at that same honor to this day because he was an amazing soul. I took a job that caused me to travel 95% of the time. I was only home Friday night, Saturday. Sunday I was on a plane flying somewhere, or Monday morning I was gone. Any relationship requires a few things. Time is one of them. And so before I had made the decision to take that particular job, I had a few job offers on the table. And we sat down collectively and we discussed the options with these different jobs. And we together made the decision that, you know what, that's a good job, take that job. So it wasn't something that I made a decision like, this is the job I want, I'm gonna take this job. Nope. We discussed it. We came and we thought that we would be able to handle the travel, handle the distance. But what I've learned is when you're in a relationship and you're married and you've had the busyness of your day, and when you come home and you put your head on that pillow, you want your mate right next to you. Point blank and period. If you don't want the one that you love laying next to you, then that's not the one you want to be with. And when you don't have that, chaos will creep in. And so you take poor communication and lack of time, destruction is right around the corner. By the time we got divorced, of course we were, we're still friends to this day. We can, we were at a point where we can still talk about it. We didn't have a nasty divorce, but there was an ending to something that had lasted for 13 years. And it was like a death, the death of what we once had. And that could be very devastating. And so earlier I had mentioned that whenever I'm in a relationship, I try to look back at that relationship to say, what could I have done differently? How can I grow from that? So one of the things that I've learned is that I never could take another job where I travel or cause me to be away from the home days on end. Not healthy. And then have better communication. Because a lot of times we don't communicate properly to really, we'll say what we're feeling, but we don't want to hear what the other person is thinking or what they're feeling, or we don't want to acknowledge that.
So that's what you could have did better.
I could have chosen another job. I know if I had chosen another job, because I was either going to be a performance consultant, work with financial institutions across the United States, which was the job that I took, or I could have been a sales manager for Dell Computers. And the Dell computer thing, I hadn't worked in an office setting, because I had always traveled a little bit with the jobs that I've had. And so that Dell computer sales manager, although great benefit package, great money, but I was like, I got to go in this office every day and be trapped. You know, I'm a butterfly. Let me fly. Let me go. So we could have made a better decision, because the decision, if had I been home, then I would have been what I needed to be for him. And I couldn't do that being away.
And that's real big of you to even admit that. I mean, like, and I'm gonna let them talk. Mine's is, you know, I've shared it so many times. Mine was that I let our marriage get out of, and I talk about 20 years more because I can talk about that freely. I let our marriage get out of balance. There was no balance. And me as the man, I should have brought it in, but we were on such a climb to be successful. And, you know, I was the one that liked things, admittedly. And so we got out of control, and I didn't keep balance, meaning family, career, the marriage. The marriage was maybe on the back burner. The marriage part, the family part, and the career part was front stage, most of the career. She, Pastor Kim, and I tell her this all the time, she was the one that kept the family together, because I was on the road, traveling. And so I would attribute mine to not having balance, too much to the left. And balance means that you can keep everything even killed. And so that's my reality. So I say to all of you, even being in each other's face can be a false sense of balance. You can go too far to just laying up. I hear what you're saying. I'm not saying there's anything wrong, because that's where I'm at. I want to, next time I do it, I want to be madly in love.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see fireworks, you know, and
every night.
I can't stand these folks on the Riverwalk holding hands and all that, even with their mask on. But I'm serious. And so in that was my part. So you're speaking to that you could have made some changes professionally. I'm speaking to that I didn't allow balance. All of us have a different truth. Pastor Dana?
Our communication was god awful. We did not know. We did not know how to talk to one another. There was a lot of dishonesty. A lot of truth was not told, because we did not know how to communicate. Balance was off. I think I was a great wife, but I was not the greatest mother. These are my truths. We separated. I had more time with my children, and I listened to their hearts when they were able to say to me, you gave more to ministry, you gave more to dad, you didn't give to us, you didn't listen to us, boom, boom, boom. You know, so I was able to hear their heart, and that's why now we are so strong. Our bond is very, very strong now, but it went through transition. And so I think for me, I lost my identity. I talk about this often, as dad talks about his situation, as candid as he does. I lost my identity in a person. And once I realized I lost that, I had to find myself. And now that I found her, I'll never lose her to somebody else again.
Woo! Y'all laying it down, Corey. And I want to say, because I know yours is fresh. If you don't want to share a lot, I mean, I know how that is in the beginning.
Right. Yeah. So Bishop, I'm good. So I think this similar to what's being said in general. Communication is just kind of paramount, right? I mean, for us, we got married again. I was young. I mean, I've been married. I was married 23 years. So I was in my 20s, early 20s. When the thing first started, didn't understand conversations about things like expectations and how to communicate, how to fight fair. None of that stuff existed. There was no good sound marriage counseling sessions and all that type of stuff that happened. So it was in the figuring it out. And I'm gonna be honest, I was bad at wanting to constantly work. And I'll say this: I know marriage is work. But when it's just a constant hitting loggerheads, I want to say, hey, it shouldn't be this hard. I mean, okay. And so you begin to say, whatever, and just go along with it. So you never really deal with problems. You never really deal with issues and concerns. And with lack of communication and not addressing problems, things begin to cave in. And so I think it's important. And I think on both sides, we can say that. I only speak for myself. I know, as I move forward and learn about myself and learn about how I want things to be, I want to be able to address all things. If something happens, I want to be able to put it on the table. I want to point something out and say, hey, let's talk about this and let's deal with it. Let's not just say, I'm so mad, I can't talk to you. I don't want to. All that stuff, I think, again, you do it when you're younger. But now I don't have time to wait. I don't play no games, right? I'm like Chris Brown and Gretchen Whitmer. I don't play no game. I want to say, this is what's happening. Let's talk about it. Let's deal with it. So it's not just kick the can down the curb. So, I mean, that's my situation.
I got a question that was posed on one of my Facebooks. It says, with being so busy, is marriage even realistic? What do you all think?
You do what you want to do. Marriage, if you want to be married or want to be in a relationship, you consciously make an effort to make that happen. If you are so caught up in your career, so caught up in what you're doing that you don't want to give way to somebody else being in your life, then don't do it. But if you want somebody in your life, you will make time and you will make a way to make it work if that's what you want.
You gotta want it, because if you don't want it, then you'll find all kind of things. You'll find all kind of things, especially if you don't want it. Then right now some people are having a hard time because they can't go to the office.
Mm-hmm. True.
I think
they'd be like, we need some bread. Oh, I'll go. I got it. No. The line was so long, we was social distancing, so that's why it took me so long.
I was outside the door. I couldn't get back.
Right. Somebody said, how many times do you marry? And I'm trying to find that question.
I did say it before you realize that marriage isn't for you. As many times as you want. I think so. And I have a ton of brothers and people that I've taken in as brothers. I have 4 that I grew up with, and then I have my other brothers. And it's okay to love, right? It's divorce and try to get, because I always tell people, after people get divorced, depending on how tumultuous their divorce was, some people say, I'll never get married again. And that breaks my heart, because I don't think you should ever give up on love. Sometimes we marry people, and when we were at the altar, we knew that this was the wrong person. But because we allow other people's expectations become our obligations, we went through with a bad decision. Never, ever, ever let somebody else's expectation become your obligation. I remember when I got married, that one time that I did, we were supposed to get married 2 years prior, and I had called it off. And leading up to it, we were getting married in Jamaica. We had paid for everything. All my friends and family had paid for everything, and we were just marking the the days off the calendar. And the closer and closer I got to it, I started getting cold feet. And I had 2 conversations, and the only 2 conversations that meant anything to me. One day I was out with my mom, and she was like, so I don't hear you saying nothing about this wedding. Are you ready? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. And she was like, if you're not ready, then don't do it. And I looked like, so you're not going to be mad because they had paid for it. You know, everything is paid for. She was like, if you're not ready, then don't do it. I was like, all right. Then one day I was driving around with my dad, and he said the same thing. Those were the 2 opinions that mattered to me. And so I couldn't let everybody else's expectation become my obligation. So I called it off. We still ended up in the divorce line some years later, but I made a decision based on where my heart was. And so I share that story because sometimes we get into these situations because we didn't told everybody, hey, I'm engaged. Hey, I'm getting married. Oh, he proposed. We're doing this, we're doing that. And so you get caught up in the hype of everything that's going on. But deep down in your soul, you know, he's not the one. But we're so afraid of being alone. Mm-hmm. We're so afraid of being by ourselves. We're so afraid that we may never find Mr. Right. We'll settle for Mr. Right now. And then in a year, 2 years, 3 years, it's over. When you knew upfront. So I tell people all the time, never give up on love. If you get married and it didn't work, he wasn't the one for you. God still has someone out there for you. He's created your perfect complement. You just got to find them.
Real Talk Kim came to do my show, and I told her, you know, I had been married, you know, more than once. And she said to me, Bishop, I don't care how many times it takes. Keep doing it until you get. And in our culture of the church, that's from those of us that are in church. That's not a cool thing. And so many of us have not done it again because we don't want somebody to say that, oh, he doing it again. And we sacrifice our own happiness because of what people say. So I don't think that's fair. Some people, their struggle is liquor. Some people, their struggle is getting high. Some people have gambling struggles. Some people, you know, for me, transparent moment, my biggest, again, is back to what I said, and I bring it up often. How in the world did I live with people that were married for 65 years, 60-something years, and then my failure or challenge or experience is that I can't get this part right. Mm-hmm. Not because of cheating, because you know, nobody else say, Lola, you know this. Y'all know this. When I'm homed in on somebody, when I'm locked in,
we locked.
That's nature. Cheating has not been my thing. Okay, and Luther McKinstry's on. He'll tell you, I don't even answer nobody's phone call when I'm locked in. But it's not that. I think it's, and I don't want to say that because I don't know if it's bad choices. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. Fast choices.
I want to piggyback in on it. I want to piggyback on 2 things that you said. I'll just reference the last comment. There's a danger in being single too long. Mm-hmm. And what I'm saying by that, I've been divorced for 13 years now. In 13 years, can you imagine how comfortable and how okay I've been with me doing me and me not having to have to answer to Tom, Dick, and Harry, me not having to hear your opinion? Like, there's a danger because you'll be like, you know what? Like Luther said, I'm in love with my peace. Mm-hmm. And anything that comes and disrupt your peace, you'll be like, no. There's a danger in your singleness. And so what tends to happen when you've been single for long periods of time, when people come in at the first sight of disruption, we'll be like, I ain't gonna be able to do that.
So Donna by faith says some are meant to be single. Is that true?
I don't believe that because
I don't believe that either. It's not. I mean, I gotta be who I am. I'm a preacher, so I believe the Bible says not good for me alone.
It ain't good for them.
With the interpretation, it ain't good for us to be alone because you're gonna be a home.
Now, one more thing that you said, I got to back up a few ticks. You have talked about how the church frowns on divorce, which I know. I'm the rebel on the line. I can care less about what you church folks say. I'm the rebel on the line, and I'm going to say this because I'm so sick of people living lies. They'll sit in the pulpit and talk about all the things that you're supposed to do, but they're miserable. How many of us know miserable married people? How many? I mean, miserable.
The same people that judge you until you don't. Don't
even like their wife.
They're miserable right now. They're more miserable right now.
Yeah, they're horrible. Like, because now I got to literally sit at home with this person I can't stand, and because I stand over this flock and trying to live a godly life. So I often challenge that school of thought and say, so you mean to tell me God wants you to be living in hell right now? The God you serve really wants you to be unhappy when we serve a God of love.
Yeah. So for me, I was separated, knew I was going to be divorced, and I was visiting a church every first Sunday. I was visiting this particular church. Two people who I admired, looked up to, had known me since I was a teenager. And I walked up to the woman, the wife, and she says, "How you doing?" I said, "Everything is good. I'm good. So what you thinking about doing?" And I said, and before I could get it out good, she said, "I just know you're not. I know you're not talking about your filing for divorce. Yeah, I just know you're not about to say that." And something, because I respect people. My father taught me to respect people. I just looked at her and I said, with all due respect, I don't want to have this conversation with you. And I left, and I was so angry because my thought pattern is, you don't even know what I'm dealing with to even tell me, I know you're not filing for divorce. So I agree with you. I had to get to a place of not caring what other people thought about my decision.
Yeah.
They want you to be miserable like them.
Yeah.
That's really what they're saying.
Well, misery loves company, right? I mean, that's
I won't be coming to the party. I think all of us, because we've been divorced, right before you got divorced, or right before you made the decision to say this is it, you were at a place that was your lowest of lows. And if you're, you vow that you'll never live in that space again. Like there's a particular space that I was like, I will never in life go to again. I can recall being married. Now, I just told you all that I had a job where I traveled all over the United States, and I would come home Friday night, Saturday, be home Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. I can recall being at home, calling my best friend from the mall parking lot, sitting in the mall's parking lot for hours. And she'll be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just sitting in the car." And she's like, why won't you go home?" And I was not in an abusive relationship. Let me say this. It wasn't abusive mentally or physically or emotionally. It wasn't, but I was just so unhappy in my relationship because I became a stranger in my own home. Mm-hmm. Did you hear that? I was a stranger in my own home, and I just couldn't. And I would literally sit in the mall parking lot for hours before I would go home and go to sleep because I just couldn't take it. And I was like, I will never live like this again. Never, ever, ever.
Let's go back to this comment here, because I agree. When you've been divorced for a while, it's difficult to marry. I divorced in the 80s. Companionship would be nice, but I'm not sure about marriage. Well, if you've been since the 80s, that's like almost 20 years. So right now, any man that will come around and you talk about marrying them, that would be a big adjustment.
She didn't say she was single since the 80s. She just said she was.
Companionship would be nice.
I hope she's had some level of companionship since 1980.
But here lies the problem. We get stuck in our ways. You know, like I got this mic right here, and it's in this place right here. I don't come over here moving my mic out of the
Please
place.
don't move his stuff.
Don't move it, because I'm going like right now. You know,
OCD.
like that picture right there on the wall is kind of slanted a little bit. I gotta, yeah. Don't take the remote. Don't take none of that. Don't change.
You have to be willing to compromise. I often say in a relationship, you have to have the 3 C's. Communication. You have to effectively communicate one to another, because none of us are mind readers. And if I can't read your mind, so I'm gonna need you to tell me what's on your mind. How are you feeling? I need every day that we have to renew the commitment to our situation, because there are going to be days where it's going to be challenging. You're going to ask yourself, am I sure I want to do this? Yes, do it. Because some people are afraid of commitment. But the most important one, where I think most people struggle, is compromise. Because compromise means you have to put yourself on the back burner, put the other one in the front, and sometimes put their needs before yours for the betterment of the relationship. If you do those 3 things and you can cook, you may be on good ground.
She said, I feel like if you are like he stated, I should stay single. No, it's not that. It's that you got to find the right one that's able to.
You have to find your compliment.
You have to find your compliment, and your compliment would be like, no, because I'm that way too. So let's make sure everything stays in place. The person for me wouldn't be somebody that's just all over the place. So that's not true, because I desired to have that person. But if what I just said would get on your nerves, then that person wouldn't be the one. Y'all agree with that?
Yeah.
I understand that, yeah.
That's why I keep saying you have to find your compliment, because again, once you've lived with someone, you know, there are things like we all have hidden pet peeves. Put the toilet seat down when you finish. That's a woman's pet peeve. Put the toothpaste top back on the toothpaste. When you finish cooking, clean up the kitchen. I mean, there's just don't leave your socks in the middle of the floor. Put them in the hamper. Like, there's just certain things that becomes your home life's pet peeves. Make up the bed when you get out of it. You was the last one in the bed. Can you make the bed up? Like, it's just certain things that may bother some people. Some things may not bother people. You have to identify what's going to work in your relationship. And are you willing to grow with the individual so you guys can be on the same page? Because a lot of times you may not be on the same page on a lot of different things, and you grow together.
We talk about the big things, and y'all can comment on this, but it's the little things that take it out.
Mm-hmm.
Corey,
yeah, it's like death by 1,000 cuts, right? I mean, like, it's those small little paper cuts. Sometimes we think it's a big, machete that takes a person out, but torture, right? In many countries, torture are small thousands of cuts, small little cuts, and that's what Bishop is talking about. Those little small things. Again, I kind of mentioned in my scenario, ignoring those small things, kicking them down the curb, not addressing them, not talking about them, and they mount and mount and mount and mount. And then that's when you get to the point, kind of like what Lola said, is, look, I don't even want to deal with that stuff. So you stay in the car, and you get involved with 10 other things, and you get on all these committees, and when you're a good person and you're a grinder, you can find things to fill your space. And sometimes being busy is not just because they're just busy. They just don't want to deal with what's going on at home. And that's why this COVID-19 is such for some it's a breath of fresh air, but for some it's torture, because they can't go anywhere. They can't go hide out at work. They can't go to the committee meeting. They can't go to the union meeting. They got to deal with that thing at home that they've been avoiding for so long. And I'm gonna say it. That's what I did. So again, I think it's important for us to learn to deal with. In the church, I'm just gonna say it because I'm a rebel too. Because the church is abysmal at teaching about relationships. It's abysmal, right? Because the same people that will say to you, stay with them, like you said, many of them, not only can they not stand they relate, they cheating on they stuff so whack how we go up, it's crazy. And yet they telling you, no, you stay. And you confused, you're like, what I don't understand. So you want me to be sad, you want me to be upset. So we gotta search after peace and really tell the truth to people. That's why I'm appreciating this forum, because we gotta get to a level of truth. If you unhappy and you cannot work it out and you can't communicate and talk, then you need to start coming to some decision. I ain't saying everybody needs to go get a divorce tomorrow,
right?
But you got to start dealing with some of this stuff, because there's a whole lot of unhappy relationships out here in the church. And there's a lot of church folks saying, oh, baby, just y'all gonna be okay. No, we not gonna be okay. Somebody gonna be dead.
Yeah,
we need to deal with this thing.
Not the God. So let me read this comment. But you cannot keep compromising and be the only one compromising. Let me ask you guys a question. I'm gonna pose a scenario, and I want to get you all's insight. So this is real too. This is a real situation. So I am one who I believe in chivalry. I like chivalry. I like for a man to open my doors. I don't mind some flowers. I don't mind a few little compliments just to make my ego feel good, because I'll do the same. I'll give compliments. So initially, they were opening the door for me every time I get out. And then they had said to me, so do I need to open your door every time we go someplace? Because I don't feel that I should have to do that every time we go someplace. Here I go.
Red flag.
I said, hey, you don't have to. It's it's on you. But here I am.
Yeah. But can I say this, Lola? I think one of the most important things you point out, awesome point. I teach my son's 15, my daughter's 19. Okay. I teach my son, I've been teaching my son since he was like 5. You open the door, the chivalry that, so many people have thrown away. It's not dead. It's just not being taught.
Right.
But I'm also say this, there's a whole lot of people who receive the chivalry and they don't appreciate it. So you bring home flowers. Why are you spending so much money on flowers? I'm just trying to show chivalry. You open the door. I don't need you to open the door for me all the time. Whoa. Okay. So, the two go together, right? That yes, chivalry needs to be there. I teach my daughter. A boy pull up and blow the horn. He's not dead. Okay. He need to come knock on the door, shake my hand, present himself, have a conversation with me, the whole 9 yards. So again, it needs to be taught, but appreciation also needs to be taught.
But it needs to be demanded. What you tolerate will only grow larger. The less you allow it, the more you allow it, the more it will happen. Craig Mizell says, this is my son. Got to open those doors. It's a blessing in opening doors. Learn. That's a young man.
He's had some great teachers in his day, and maybe under some good teaching right now. You never know.
Absolutely, you never know. Pastor Dana, you want to comment on this?
The sad part is that we have raised up a generation that's coming behind us. One of my daughters said, I don't want a man to open up the door for me. Like, why is that such a big deal? I don't understand why y'all making a big to-do.
Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely. I know who's
so it is not for me, is what I demand, is what I expect. But then there's a generation coming behind us who are influenced by society and by what they see and hear from other people, and they decide that they don't want you to do. I don't need that. I don't want that. So for me, you do what you want to do. Me, I'm gonna need you to open that door. I want all of that. I want all of that. Cater to me. Thank you, and I will be appreciative.
We were having a good discussion.
What you talking about? What freaky intercession we was having?
What?
Let me tell you something. Trust me, I have not went to the other side of my gym.
You have not went to what?
the other side of my Gemini. My twin has never showed up.
You teach people how to treat you. That is
Absolutely.
But they have to be learning, right? So I'm gonna continue to say, some people are not paying attention.
That's good.
Okay.
What if they over 50 years old though?
So again, sense is not common, right? So we say sense is not common. So you can be trying to teach, but I think sometimes we're wasting our time because again, some people aren't trying to learn. So that's where the sorting process, if we're gonna talk about, coming out of divorce and going into dating, you have to notice some people are just not trying to learn. Some people are just not trying to figure it out, right? And you can throw every hint on the planet, right? You can sit in that car and look at him and wait for him to open the door, and he way gone in, and you still wait there. He ain't learned. And so having some of those conversations, again, I appreciate what Pastor Dana said about her daughter, because again, what's happened, the next generation has said, these boys not learning, and nobody's teaching them, right? Because again, some people did it for a little bit, then they stopped, right? Then others did it and they got no. I think if you're receiving chivalry, there should be a level of, I appreciate your chivalry. Some I'm not saying you need to throw a party every time I do something right. Okay, that's not the point. But showing a level of appreciation is important. That's how a person knows they're doing it right. Right. Just like on the flip side, if a man likes a woman who cooks, but he never says, I like the food, what's she gonna do? She gonna stop it. Come on now. So again, hey, honey, I like your hair. That's gonna make her keep what? Doing that hair. Because if you don't say it, then she might wear that bag, right? I mean, again, so we gotta communicate with people.
Absolutely. Communication is detrimental. It makes or breaks the whole relationship.
Facts.
All right. I got lost for a minute. Let me see. Well, one thing that I see is that you have to know your spouse's love language and display that. And oftentimes people try to give the other person what you want as opposed to what they need. That's true. So let me say this, because I got disconnected. One of the issues is we don't have, Corey, older men to show the younger men. And when a young lady says, I don't want all that and all that, that means they're not getting it. Because a real man will make you sit your tail in that car and say, you're not getting out of this car. I don't care. And I know KK, but you're not getting out of this car because this is the way that I was taught. They don't do that, because they too busy trying to pull their pants up for themselves and do all that stuff. And so I saw my grandfather love my grandmother. I saw these things, and behavior is learned. And in this generation, when you think about it, they ain't got nobody at home to even show them. There's no man there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say this, that's true. That's true. That's where I believe the church got to come in. Right, the church has got to come in and start stepping our game up. We've got to start helping these young men have conversations. We've got to help them understand this is what it looks like. Again, I said I tell my son, and see, and it's not new for my son. Right, at 15, I tell him, look, if I got to tell you to open the door, me and you got to have a real conversation. You should know this by now.
Oops. Wait a minute. Oh, sorry.
They're not doing it. So again, we got to spend time mentoring our young men and mentoring our young ladies so that they raise the standard and not lower the standard.
So one thing that I've seen quoted often here lately is that why is the church or people teaching women how to be wise, but there's not enough being taught telling men or young boys how to be husbands?
Who's in the church?
They've been able to get away with what they want. Never mind.
Who's in the church though? I mean, I remember when we started back, Reverend Jerome would say to me, Bishop, I want to work with the young boys. They need to learn how to tie ties. They need to learn how to do that. That is absolutely right.
Mhm.
We have less men. That's why they're not getting, it needs to be a balance. And so that's a challenge for the men that's here. We don't have to do it as ministries. We can just grab young boys.
Absolutely.
I learned most of the stuff that I learned from being down at the church on Campfield and Herbert on a Saturday, listening to the old men talk. That's how I learned it. But we have lack of that. Sister BB Chambers, the OGs are training. I didn't even know she knew that kind of language, Pastor Dana. The OGs are training our younger. My grandson said that whoever wants to be with me is 50-50. She got to step it up to the plate for him.
That's you know, the younger generation is a little different. They're a little different. And if they're in a but no, I ain't gonna even say it there. You know, some people, again, earlier I talked about, you know, we all live in the same building, right? Some people on the first floor, some people on the third floor, some people on the 30th floor. Ain't nobody better than nobody, you know.
Read that. Oh, go ahead. You still talking?
It's at this. Okay, let me just read this. I'm gonna get out that room. I didn't grow up with a father in the house, and I've been around men who were chivalrous. But it wasn't until I saw my good friend, who was also in his early 30s, being chivalrous in the way he does his wife, that I began to up my game. Some people need an example, because if you don't have that example, you don't have anything to go off of. And so once you see the example, and then you see the smile that it puts on your loved one's face, you're going to always want to see that smile. So the average person will be willing to do whatever it takes.
That's if you want that person happy, though.
Yeah. Huh?
But
You want that person happy.
But again, the assumption is that the chivalry gives a smile. And I think the key is, when chivalry happens, there needs to be a smile. And the problem with a lot of people is, some are receiving chivalry and they're not smiling. They're receiving flowers and candy and all the chivalry. And they say that's just what it's supposed to be. And no, some people are not doing that. And you should appreciate when you got a good one. Okay. I want to say too, I mean, my father left when I was 2. Okay. My parents got divorced when I was 2 years old. So I didn't have a man around showing me chivalry at all. But by the time I was 17, 18, I got in church. The deacons at Kadesh Baptist Church, I'm going to tell you, Bishop Gregory L. Foster. I mean, them bishops, my old Sunday school teacher, boy, open that door for that girl. That's how you going to be a man. We used to have something at 12, 13 years old, you know, mentoring groups, mentoring young men. But again, the church has gotten away from doing a lot of that mentoring. I'm a teacher, right? So I teach them in class. Listen, as a teacher, open the door. And I've had young men that I'm trying to teach to open the door for women. And I've had teachers say, oh, he don't have to open the door for me because I can open it myself. No, let me teach them how to be man. Yeah. That's a big part of our problem in society now, is the gender blending now. They don't even want you to teach. What do you mean teach them how to be a man? I'm trying to show them to get ready so that they can be that great husband. But the definition is changing. I'm going to just right there.
That's what I said about my daughter. It's society has taught this to them, and they accepting it as okay, and it's not okay.
All right. Here we go, Lola.
My ex-husband isn't in our son's life. And the other day I told him I apologize for that, and that there are certain things I can't teach him. He then said, well, Mama, that's why I asked God to give you a good man so I can have a good father. Lord, the tears. These young boys do need good examples. You know what? Bishop, you and I had a conversation. I don't know if I had it here, but you and I had a conversation recently, because I have nephews. And I have one nephew who just turned 30 this year. And I think it was last year, we had a heart-to-heart. And I had to apologize to him. And I said, I apologize. I said, because through the years, I've given you so much advice. I said, but the advice that I gave you was from a female perspective. And yes, it could have helped in certain scenarios, but there's some things that I'll never be able to teach you, and that's how to be a man. What I was giving you was a prescription, but it wouldn't medicate or fix the things that you needed because it's from a female. I could imagine what it feels like walking in a man's shoes because I've never had that experience. And he was like, well, Auntie, I said, no, baby, I have to admit when I'm right and I have to admit when I'm wrong. And in so many instances, I was wrong because you were struggling with being a Black man in America, and I have no experience on how to overcome that challenge. So through the years, I've definitely linked him up with some great men in the community that's doing amazing things. So I've always tried to put him in front of great men. But some of the advice that I had given him through the years, although it was sound advice, everything that we tell our young boys, especially women, may not be able to be applicable because we don't know the parables or the perils that young Black men face and how to overcome those challenges because we've never had to deal with it. We don't even know what the emotion feel like to walk out there into that world and know that everything is against you because of your skin color and because of your sex.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm slacking. Here we go.
Right. As a woman, we can teach them how to be a good person, but I can't teach them how to be a man. That's right. He's only 7, but he's very bright. Yeah.
Okay.
A boy needs a man to teach him how to be a man. That's facts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Kadesh Baptist Church got me together at the age of 16.
Oh, funny.
Great. Something else. Okay, so as we bring it home, what in just a few sentences, Pastor Dana, what would you say to somebody as it relates to avoid the pitfalls of divorce in your summation that you learned? Because I believe everybody learned.
First, I would say know yourself. You have to clearly identify who you are. Know who you are so that when you get into a relationship, in a marriage, that person you cannot be changed. Compromise is one thing. Changing is a completely different thing. Also, communication. Don't allow yourself to tolerate certain things that you don't feel like you deserve. Talk it through. Say how you feel. I think that I would have avoided many heartaches if I had articulated what I was feeling and articulated it in a very wise way. There's a difference. So articulating it with wisdom versus articulating it in anger or the lack thereof.
Okay, Corey?
I'm going to say learn to deal with problems and know that there's not always a you win, I lose, or I lose, you win. Sometimes it's just we don't agree and we got to agree to disagree. And just because we disagree, you don't have to be disagreeable. Everything doesn't have to become a nuclear blow up just because we don't agree. And so again, learning how to fight fair, learning how to communicate, learning not to just ignore problems because a problem ignored is just another thing that's going to cause ripples in the relationship. So, I think there's just so much, it's almost difficult to say in a sentence or two. But again, if anything, communication would be, if anything, I would just say, learn to communicate and learn how to deal. Everybody know how to walk down the whole hand, smile and all that stuff. But it's like New Edition said, can you stand the rain? Can you handle the problems and not just, it becomes a blow up every time we have a disagreement.
Lola?
Communication is key. It's easy to quit. It's hard to fight. It's so easy to just walk away. But it takes strength and endurance to be willing to go through the fire to get on the other side. As women, especially alpha females, we have to learn to be more submissive. And submission is not a bad thing. Submissive just simply says, I trust your leadership. I trust your guidance. I trust that you're going to make the best decision for me and this household. And being able to submit, again, the older we get, the more wiser we become, and we begin to understand certain things. A 30-year-old Lola would have said, I ain't submitting to nobody. How did that work out for you? How did that work out for you? So being able to know that, hey, you know what? I'm flawed. Hey, I'm not above correction. I have to be able to listen. I have to be able to be a good partner. We're beyond the thing of a cute face and a small waist. You have to be able to bring so much more to the table. People are looking for compliments and partnerships, because at this point, there are some things that people want to collaborate and build together and build something special for their children, for the legacy. So you have to be able to bring something that you could collaborate and build upon. So just being selfless and not selfish, because so many of us are selfish. It's about me, mine, what I want to do. You cannot go into any relationship. And this is just not marriage. This is just a relationship, because in order to get to marriage, you have to display these things ahead of time so that you can get to the altar. Many of us are like, I've never been married, or I've never been proposed to. Well, you've never because you don't become a wife after you say I do. You display those characteristics before you say I do, and they just continue to grow after you say I do. So you have to thy own self be true, and then being true to yourself, it's good to do self-reflections. I try to do them often because I'm not perfect. There have been times that I may have said some things that may have offended someone, and in that moment, that was how I felt. But if you're a Christian and you know that you've hurt someone, you cannot let that live on your soul. You have to be willing to go back and fix the things that you've done wrong. So being able to be big enough to admit when you're wrong shows growth and maturity. So I've said a lot of different things, and keep people out your business. You can't go running telling mom and daddy about everything that's going on in your household, because the more opinions that you have about your situation, the more destruction you're going to bring to your household. Keep static off your own line. Because when you stood at the altar, the two of you stood there together. When you got into that relationship, the two of you decided that you were going to come together and be together. So the two of you need to figure out what's the solution for your own situation. It's okay to seek wise counsel, but everybody that says that they're happy for you, they're not. So be careful who you invite into your situation, and protect the integrity of what you have, because if you have something special, the devil is going to send something to try to destroy it, because that's what he does. So protect the integrity of what you have. Keep God first, and always, whenever you don't know what to do, seek God's answer, pray about it, and stay there until God sends you the answer. And then that's how you guide and direct your steps.
Oh, I ain't got nothing to say.
I know, right?
And let me say this. I think one of the biggest things is that both parties are on the same page.
Yeah,
absolutely.
From the start. And that comes from what all of y'all have said. Everybody said communication.
Mm-hmm.
What's the variables? What's the negatives? What's the positives? What don't you like? What don't I like? And you have to talk about that. And that comes from endless conversation. We try to have conversations once we get married that we should have had before we got married.
Yeah.
And you're trying to build the plane. You're trying to build a plane, and it's already in the air.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's already in the air. You married, so the plane is already in the air, and you still trying to build a wing and the engine. No, you're gonna crash because you're trying to build the plane in the air. And so a lot of stuff that we miss in the beginning becomes the negatives at the end. And if you take care of stuff in the beginning, then you wouldn't have the problems that you have in the middle and at the end, and it would not end because you're on the same page, which goes back to, again, rushing.
Mm-hmm.
Rushing. And perhaps, and I'm gonna pivot on this, Chip. perhaps there are people, and Sean said this the other week, I think he said so much, that there are people that I believe that we missed on the journey.
He told me that the other day.
Some regrets that you have with some people that was like, I messed that up.
Mm-hmm.
Dummy. And you had that friendship, because really what all of us really need to do is marry our friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because the friendship is going to last longer than the sex ship.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, Corey said this on my live the other day when we were together, that all that's going to fade away.
Yep.
You get older and older and older, and all you want to do is like that picture y'all see up there with Sister BB and Brother Chambers is look at them. They've been married 40 years? 40-some years?
Yes.
Yeah, 40-some years. I mean, you know, you want to keep that flame in there, but that comes from the outset, talking about it all. And me, y'all ain't gotta admit it, but I ain't did all that. And, you know, but now that's important. So, well, they've been married 47 years, she said. Jesus. God Almighty. We should celebrate them. 47 years. Huh? Yes. All right, we're gonna wind down because we've been on here almost 2 hours. Let's finish up these. Or we compromise on it at the beginning and we have resentment at the end. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's powerful and true.
Let me go back to Tiffany. Say it again. Or we compromise on it at the beginning and we have resentment at the end. That is so freaking good. That is one of the statements of the night. Sean, make sure you don't rush. Know them before you become one with them. No, that's good too, Sean, but know you.
Yeah.
Also. And that came from the Russian king. Right. How can two walk together unless they agree? Communication and comprehension. Yes, Bishop. Absolutely. You must keep folks out of your business 21 years at the game.
I think you have monthly table meetings asking your spouse, what is it that they need? What am I doing well? And what am I?
I'm sorry.
And what can we do to make our relationship better? That's good. You have to have that type of dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Intentionally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Submission is under the mission of your heart. Okay. All right. I think that's everything. Unless y'all have any more. Some people love each other, but they don't like each other. I've said that for years.
Yep.
That look, Tina tried to tell y'all.
What?
You gotta like them. Man, I love Pastor Ken. But it wasn't. It sometimes love is not enough to keep it together. You better be able to talk about. Ooh, look at the star up there, Lola. It's time to go. That's that Gemini kicking. Okay. Corey, tell us how we can get in touch with you.
Yes, sir. You can get me on Instagram at Corey J. Chavis, CHAV as in victory, IS. Find me on Instagram, on Facebook. Same thing, Corey Chavis. And I'm also on Twitter at Bishop CJ Chavis. So I'm at all those places, and always catch us on our website, www.victorychurchdetroit. That's our church, victorychurchdetroit.org. And you can find us online.
And he's freshly divorced. Dana D.
No DM, please. No DM. Rebuke the DMs in Jesus' name.
He don't mean that, y'all. DM him tonight.
I am Dana D. Berry on all social media, and you can reach me on my website at danadberry.org.
All right, Lola May.
I am Lola George on, I think it's Facebook. No, on Instagram. Lola George on Facebook, and I am Lola George on Twitter. I believe I'm not good on Twitter, but I am Lola George. Follow me on all social media.
I'm Bishop
Stay
Greg
out my
Davis.
inbox.
You said what?
And stay out my inbox.
They're gonna be in there tonight. I'm Bishop Greg Davis. I'm Bishop Greg Davis everywhere. And what I need y'all to do for me, more so, is to follow the YouTube When the Right One Comes. I need y'all to follow When the Right One Comes on YouTube. Okay, no matter where you are now, need to get those numbers up. Also, you can email us questions for next week. We're here every Saturday night at 9 p.m. We thank this panel because they were good, Lola.
They were.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, thank you all so much. You all email us. Email us at When the Right One Comes. You see it right there. All right. Any closing remarks, Lola?
This is a time of thinking, a time of evaluation. This quarantine for me has really opened my eyes to different situations and opportunities that I may not have looked at closely. If you haven't been able to really clear your mind in this time of quarantine and really see what God is trying to show you, you really need to be still and get into that moment, because He's caused the world to stop for a reason. And you need to ask yourself, why did He cause it to stop for you? Because it's something in this quarantine. You shouldn't walk out of this quarantine the same way you walked in it. Number one. Number two, for me to even say this next comment shows tremendous growth, but find time for your health and wellness. Find time for your health and wellness, because it doesn't make sense to have all of the wonders of the world and you can't enjoy it because you're not healthy. Find time for your health and wellness. That's it.
Do you see this foolishness Sean just said?
What'd he say?
That's why he in trouble.
We're gonna do a dating show for Sean. Don't worry. Sean got good credit, drive a nice car,
Got a promotion.
Just got a promotion on the job, so got a good job, single with no kids, loves his mother, which means he will treat a woman right. A man that don't have no respect for his mama will never have respect for you. So we're gonna get you hooked up, brother.
All right, y'all. Thank all of you for joining us. Make sure when we go off, y'all share this broadcast so others can see. What'd you say, Lola?
I said we're gonna get Corey hooked up too.
Yeah.
Listen, let me say this. This was in my spirit. Let me say this. Great businesses don't need to advertise. Okay, so I don't need one advertisement. Please don't know.
All right. Sean, I guess you're not a great business. You just
I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm saying
you startup. All right, everybody enjoyed this. Just let us know just by saying yes before we go. Everybody enjoyed this. Y'all want us to keep doing this? You learned anything? Y'all learned anything before we go? Yes. Come on, don't be slow. Now, y'all didn't enjoy it? Or y'all typing?
Maybe they typing, but how long do it take to type yes?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yes, of course. Okay. There we go. All right. Okay. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much. We'll see you 9 p.m. right here on these social media outlets. You'll see some of this on Lola's. I sent her clip, she'll never post it on her. Oh,
I'm gonna post it this time. I thought you'd be sending them so I can see them.
No, for you to post them. I'll send some to everybody. All right. Good night, y'all. Good night, John Boy.
Bless y'all. Thank y'all. Thank you, Bishop. Thank you, Lola. God bless y'all.
Thank you.